The federal government has already fallen behind in its promised housing accord proposal, which was to build 20,000 homes every month until 2029. This week, the Australian Bureau of Statistics released new data on building approvals, showing the lag in the construction of the dwellings continues. Joining me now to discuss the impact on Australians that this will have is Morgan Begg, who's the Director of Research at the Institute of Public Affairs. Morgan, thank you for your time this afternoon. So the federal government is already 26% below the required 20,000 monthly average of these new home approvals which are required. How can we make this up?
Oh, it's a significant challenge for the government, and it's a significant and monumental policy failure. The federal government and the state government, as part of this housing accord target, set ambitious targets, but it's unclear what, if anything, has actually been done aside from shuffling money around. So the big challenge now for the governments is not only meeting the target, but catching up on the lost progress so far. And aside from the main tool available to the federal government, of course, is dealing with the demand side of the economy, but that doesn't help build more houses. What really needs to happen is the federal government and the state governments working together to deal with the red tape, to deal with the local planning laws that really have operated to restrict the development of housing in this country.
Yes, well, the average has been just under 14,000 each month so far. So long term, how will this actually affect Australians?
Oh, well, I mean, the extraordinary thing is that housing approvals today are still at the levels they were in the 1980s. But what's changed now is that the level of demand for housing is significantly higher. The government's overseeing an unprecedented mass migration program. The Albanese government has overseen the arrival of about 1.2 million new migrants in the last 2 years alone. So what the results of that is significant pressures on the housing market. You're going to see availability of housing will be significantly lower if this keeps up, while at the same time house prices and house rent prices will continue to increase. And so if you're an Australian and you're entering the housing market in 2024, 2025, it's going to be so much harder to enter than it was, even 2 or 3 or 5 years ago.
Absolutely. Well, as you've said, we've seen record increases in population growth with approximately 1.15 million new migrants entering Australia since the Albanese government came into power back in May of 2022. So where do we go from here, and what are we going to see an increase in? Homelessness, amongst other things?
Well, exactly right. And I think, what's really been exposed is just how unsustainable the federal government's migration approach has been. Inevitably, there has to be a rethinking and a recalibration of what the government is doing, because migration is a terrific thing, and migration has been a tremendous part of the Australian story. But migration needs to be sustainable. You need to carry the support of the community, and it needs to build and contribute to the national economy. And on all three fronts, the federal government has failed.
Morgan Begg, yes, there's a lot of work to be done, isn't there? Thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you.